So when it comes to hosting MCPs, Cloudflare has been doing an amazing job. It probably would be my go-to for hosting a remote MCP. And so today afternoon, they basically announced that they're open sourcing the use MCP, which is a React library that connects to any MCP server in just 3 lines of code. And so that's not building an MCP, which like is most of the resource that you see out there, but it's actually building a client. So like you want to integrate a chat directly into your application, into your React application that connects to some remote MCP servers. And so the package is under the Model Context Protocol / use MCP. You can see it's super fresh, like 7 hours ago, no description yet on the GitHub repo. And if you scroll a bit down, they have some examples here. It has already pretty stable set of features, like it manages all authentication flows, has TypeScript types, obviously. And it also works with HTTP and SSE, so service and event transports. And then you have a bunch of different examples here how you can actually kind of implement that in your local server. So I figured, let's give it a spin. So what I did here is create a new workspace. And now I happen to use Nx here. So create Nx workspace and then spin up a new React-based application. So in the end, this is just a Vite-based React app. You can see the Vite config here. And then inside here, I have a simple routing, which like pulls in the MCP chat, which I've been building. Now, I'm not going to go into the details because the interesting part is not really how I build up this chat. It was AI generated most of the part anyway. But like the interesting part is how we connect now to an MCP server, which is exactly with this new use MCP hook that comes from this package. And so you import that. And then basically these are the magic lines that connect you to an MCP server, which in my opinion is like amazing. All of the rest that you see down here is mostly handling like different states, responding to those, showing user messages. So that's basically UI work. Now, how does a connection here work? Now, I didn't have a remote MCP server ready to connect to. So what I did is some sort of trickery here and connect to a local one that is running on my machine. Now, to avoid some coarse issues, I basically piped this through a Vite proxy server here. So I basically just like invoke /API MCP, which points it then to a locally running instance. Now, this instance is running in VS Code. So basically at Nx, we have an Nx MCP server that we automatically spin up in new Nx workspaces when you have Nx console installed, which is this VS Code extension, obviously for Cursor as well and for JetBrains coming out next week. And what it does is basically exposing all information that Nx has about your products, relationships, connections, etc., to your LLM, such that you can reason better, especially in large workspaces, monorepos, etc. So to test this out, I can just quickly spin up here a new Copilot chat and say, list me all the products in this workspace and their dependencies. And so this would now invoke the Nx MCP, and it has a tool for analyzing the workspace basically, and then it would kind of spin up some other tools and just get you the information basically that you're interested in. So now this server is running. Let me go back to our implementation of the client and just launch it. And so I'm using Nx Serve MCP client, which will then spin up Vite behind the scenes. And if I go here then to my application, I can click here retry or connect, and I get a successful connection to the MCP server. You can also already see it lists out all the tools. So it like successfully retrieved those. And I could then go ahead and just select one. Now I could add here whatever message I wanted, because like it doesn't really matter for this specific instance, because I'm not interpreting based on the message which tool I should pick. I didn't go that far and implement that as well. But what we can see here already, it invokes a tool that is selected here manually, and it provides the response that I wanted. And so here you can see it gives me the raw JSON response back. And so you can see it lists these packages, the different properties of these packages. Let me just see, for instance, here we have AI shop utils. And obviously this is the response of the projects that are there where the MCP server is running, in this case, in this project here. And so there is here AI shop utils probably exactly, which is exactly this one project here. And so normally you would then hand this back to an actual LLM, which you connect to either like Anthropic or OpenAI, etc., and then process these responses. And it would also be the LLM to choose which tool to use based on the tool descriptions. So you would kind of like hand this over to the LLM, which could then kind of back and forth the messages between your MCP server and the user interaction. So that's it. This is super cool because literally as they advertise, This is just an import here with use MCP and then a bunch of lines down here to actually connect to your MCP server. And then the rest of it is like what you actually implement, like connecting to an LLM, etc. So really, really simple. But again, like this is just like the beginning. They literally just publicly released this library today. So I'm curious like what people build with it, and it opens up quite some opportunities to connect to MCP servers from within your application and not just like the generic OpenAI and Anthropic provided clients. So that's it. Definitely subscribe to our channel. We are currently planning a cool release next week for the Nx MCP. I'm just like saying self-healing CI. So pretty amazing stuff. So definitely check that out. I hope I see you in one of our next videos. Peace. Take care.